What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be having a look at the best way to play Charizard in the 2021 and 22 standard rotation. This is an excellent way to play Charizard. It's so strong in fact that your opponents are actually going to rage quit from how good it really is. So let's get into the deck profile as well as have a couple of matches, and as always, if you're new here, be sure to hit subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of my uploads. Now, going into the deck list itself, we'll briefly go over the main mechanics and the attacks here. Since I have looked at the deck before, it's just a slightly different build for post-rotation. But starting off with the Charizard, it does have the Royal Blaze attack. For 2 fire energies, you're dealing a base of 100 damage, but then for each of your Leon in the discard pile, you deal an additional 50 damage. So that's going to be up to 300 total damage, which is very good, almost knocking out VMax Pokemon in one hit. And if you are going to be going for those VMax knockouts in one hit, then you do also have the option of playing a Leon in order to boost the damage even further up to 330, because of course Leon can increase that damage if you need it. You do also have the option of attacking with the Cinccino as well, so it's not quite a one hit, it is going to become a 2 hit, but you could deal 300 with the Charizard and then use Energy Assist here to deal 40 damage, which will help you to finish off a VMax Pokemon while also getting extra energies into play, which is very good for setting up Charizards. Having looked at the rest of the deck though, we do have the full 4 Charizard line, 4 Charmander of course, do have a couple of Charmeleon just in case we don't find our rare candy, which is pretty standard for a stage 2 deck. Then that is supported by the Cinccino here. Like I said, great attack in order to get set up with the extra energies, but for the most part we're focused on the Make Do ability, discarding a card from our hand and then drawing 2 from the top of our deck. This is going to allow us to discard any cards that we don't anymore need, or also just discarding the Leons, so we're able to increase that damage that the Charizard is dealing. And then of course the Charizard itself has that ability, Battle Sense, allowing you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, discarding 2 of them, pick 1 into your hand, so again if we find Leons there we can discard them from another ability on the Charizard. Speaking of abilities, the last Pokemon that we have to look at is Snorlax with Gourmandize. This is great for the early, say 2 turns or so, when you're just looking to get everything set up. You can use this, sacrifice it, it's all good because we're just using the Gourmandize ability. When this is in the active spot, you can draw cards until you have 7, but your turn does end. So very much a turn 1 and turn 2 focused Pokemon, but that's alright because by that time we should be set up quite nicely, and as you'll see in the games here, we were certainly able to do that in every game. All of the trainer cards here are of course focused to ensure that we do have our Charizards set up nice and effectively. We spoke about having 4 Leon in order to maximize our damage. We do also have Professor's Research to draw. Despite the fact that we do have a lot of abilities that draws cards, we still also need the supporters to help out with that. And then in that same vein we have Bruno's, which is going to keep our hand nice and full, as well as shuffling in cards if we have a lot of useful resources, for example rare candies and ordinary balls, which we certainly don't want to be discarding those without using them. We do also have a final supporter here in the form of Raihan, which is going to be great for setting up Charizards because you can play it after a Pokemon has been knocked out. So say turn 2, your Snorlax gets knocked out, you can play this card, attach an energy from your discard pile to a Charmander, and then look for whatever piece that you're missing from your deck, whether that be a rare candy, a Charizard, anything that you need. This is going to be great for getting you set up, so very powerful card there, love it in the deck, it is super effective. And going through some of the items here, it is pretty standard stuff. 4 Quick Ball, 4 levels, and 4 Evolution Incense, well 3 Evolution Incense, 4 levels. Could switch those around, but I found the level balls to be a little bit more useful as they can search out everything except from Charizard and Snorlax, so very good cards there. Then we do also have the Scoop Up Nets. This is crucial in order to move our Snorlaxes. Just in case my opponent isn't knocking them out, then you certainly need a way to move the Snorlax from the active spot onto the bench, or in this case back into our hand. Then we also have the Armory Rods. Again, need to recycle our resources, particularly Charizard being our only attacker, and we have Air Balloons in case my opponent tries to stall. And finally we do have Palpad in order to reuse some of our supporters that we will be discarding quite heavily through things like Battle Sense and Make Do. Palpad is going to allow us to reuse some of those, and especially being able to put back even a single Leon if you need to get a big knockout can be super effective. So that is the deck as a whole. Like I said, it hasn't changed much from the last time that I did a video on this deck, but it's very much just the draw engine and the overall build of the deck has changed slightly to keep up with the format, as well as take advantage of some of the new cards that we've received recently in the more recent sets. So let me know what your thoughts are on this deck. We'll get into a couple of games here and see how we can get on. Hopefully burn some of our opponents, and as you'll see, they are not happy about it. So let's get into it and see what we can make happen. Going into this match, we have an ideal start here with the Gormandize Snorlax, as well. Starting off with a Charmander is very nice. Unfortunately, our hand isn't looking too good, as we just have a stack of Fire Energy. At least we do have that we can attach with, but really I would have liked to have pared down my hand just a little bit, maybe with a Quick Ball for example. That would really help us out with the Gormandize here, in order to ensure that we can get a good couple of draws off. We do have a level ball that we can make use of, potentially grabbing ourselves the Cinccino here so that we can start drawing some cards here on the following turn, or alternatively getting a second Charmander down in case my opponent has a boss's orders. But I think we're just going to go for the risky play and get ourselves the Cinccino for the following turn, grabbing the Cinccino there. So we can now Gormandize, make sure that we have a nice and full hand of 7, and we do even get into another Charmander plus a Quick Ball. So this hand just got a lot better, and all we're going to have to find now is a rare candy in order to ensure that we have the Charizard set up. Now of course we do also have to discard the Leons from our deck so that we can really maximize the damage output that we have going on here. And my opponent, as we can see, is getting set up on their end as well. They have a lot of evolution Pokemon that they have to get into play, with all of the Mareep going into the Flaffies, and of course they do also have the extra evolutions here of the Pikachu. Most likely be playing the Pikachu VMax, but they could potentially just not be playing that and want to attack for 200, discarding all energy and then reattaching those energies with the Flaffies. Definitely a good option there. Do actually pick up another Cinccino off of our top deck as well, so a very good couple of draws there, and definitely what we want to see. We'll start off by using the Quick Ball though, so that we can discard one of these energies and we can get out another basic Pokemon, most likely just a Charmander. Don't really need the Snorlax now, so we'll just get a third Charmander. That seems fine. We do also have our Evolution Incense to work with, of course. So we'll be getting ourselves the Cinccino that we can evolve into and then use Make Do. Discarding another Fire Energy is perfectly fine here, and we can look to draw into some better cards. We don't have a rare candy unfortunately, so we'll just have to Evolution Incense again and get ourselves the Charmeleon. Of course we could have held off there for the following turn and got ourselves the second Cinccino, but this is perfectly fine as we can get another energy attachment down. I think we'll look to attach onto a second Charmander just to split it up a little bit, and we do have a Quick Ball so we can get a full draw off of this Gormandize. Although the right hand is pretty good in order to get set up on this following turn, so I think assuming that my opponent does get a knockout here, we will hold on to this hand so that we can make use of our supporter and ensure that we can get set up this following turn. We do even draw into a bunch of supporters anyway, so we have a lot of options to work with here, but ultimately, as we can see, my opponent is just going to be taking the knockout, and we're going to be in a very good position to get our Charizard set up nice and effectively here. My opponent does have a decent amount of HP, but certainly not anything that's going to withstand a Charizard, as it is under 200, so we do just need to discard 2 Leon here. We have one that we could play, but we do need to use our right hand in order to actually get our stuff set up. So we'll quick ball away our Leon here, and we can grab ourselves another Charmander. Could have also got a Snorlax just to discard it, but this is perfectly fine, as we are going to be using Make Do first of all, so that we can ensure that we get a good amount of draws from the deck. See what we're drawn to here. We get the Scoop Up Net as well as another Raihan. So we'll be using this to attach an energy from the discard pile, and we can also search our deck for that Charizard. Definitely get that into the hand, as we need it in order to attack, of course. And then we can use the attack here, Battle Sense, or the ability I should say, Battle Sense. And we don't have a lot of good options here. We already have all of these cards available to us, so then we'll just take a Bruno. That seems fine. We're most likely going to be taking a lot of damage, with my opponent dealing 200 damage every turn. And we do have another energy we can at least attach here, although we do have the Scoop Up Net, so that actually seems pretty good here. We can Scoop Up Net, picking up our Cinccino, and then we can replay the Cinccino back down and make use of Make Do once again, and try and find ourselves the other Leon in order to discard with the Quick Ball here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll discard the Bruno once again. We do have Pal Pad available if we want to get some of these supporters back. Ah man, that sucks. We don't find the Leon. That's a real shame. So we're just going to be attaching energy onto the bench instead. We can hold on to these Quick Balls, and we don't really need the Scoop Up Net as we have already used it. So we'll just go for the attack here, only dealing 150 damage. But if we do find another energy, we could actually go in and perhaps could have just attached there onto the Cinccino and held off on actually attaching onto the bench. But I suppose if my opponent does get a knockout, we can always use our right hand here. But here we go. My opponent puts up the fresh Pikachu, hitting us for 200 damage, which is going to be enough to get the knockout. And we're going to be in a bit of a situation here, as we really need to find a rare candy plus Charizard plus energy, which is going to be a lot to ask for with the hand that we have to work with. We'll be promoting a Charmander with energy though, as that is a good starting point to get things rolling here. We do pick up an Ordinary Rod as well, which is going to be good in order to shuffle in some cards. We'll get a Charmander, and the Charizard seems good. Definitely some good Pokemon to work with, as that is the main attackers. And we'll put in some energies as well that will make do a couple of times first potentially, since we do have the Scoop Up Net, but at the same time we might be drawn to things that we don't particularly need. So start off with the Quick Ball, discarding the Bruno here to get ourselves another Charmander, and we can also Quick Ball, get that Snorlax out of the deck, as it's not going to be any help to us anymore. And then we'll use the Professor's Research, looking for Rare Candy Charizard like I mentioned. We do find a second Cinccino, as well as the Rare Candy and energy, so we are pretty close to getting there. We can level ball for a couple of things as well, like the Charmeleon, but unfortunately we don't have any other 90 HP or less Pokemon to work with, so we'll just make do getting rid of the Leon, so we can at least guarantee the knockout. We just have to find the Charizard now. We'll make do once again, discarding the level ball here. Where's the Charizard? Oh man, we have 4 rare candy in our hand and no Charizard. That is pretty abysmal and not what we want to see at all. I think we'll just be attaching an energy onto one of our Charmanders here, and we'll just be forced to draw a couple of cards, or one card with Collect on our Charmander. And no, Charizard was the next card off the top of the deck. At least we are guaranteeing it for the next turn, but man, missing that knockout is going to be crucial here, as my opponent gets another turn of getting energies into play. Doesn't look like they get a knockout though, so that is a relief at the very least, and we do have double Charizard now to work with, so we're actually going to be benefiting quite a bit. Despite the fact that we missed a knockout, we are actually going to be in a brilliant position now in order to get everything going as we need it. We can attach onto the active. I don't really want to use Battle Sense, as we only have 8 cards left in our deck. That is certainly something that you have to watch out for when you are playing this deck, but we can make do at least once to draw a couple of extra cards. Getting a Evolution Incense is going to be great to get another Charizard into play. Since we do have so many rare candy, it kind of makes sense to do this, as we already have the energy in play as well, and we have nothing else that we really want to do, because like I said, we are running low on cards. So we'll just go for the attack here. Getting a big 200 damage in is going to get on the knockout on the Pikachu V, and we can finally take 2 prize cards here, picking up a Leon and another Charizard, and there we go. My opponent scoops it up, as they know there's no way that they're going to be able to win this game. We were taking 2 prize cards on them, while they were forced to take 1 prize card at a time, and we had our entire board set up to get knockouts back to back. So very convincing win there. A couple of scary turns, but that's alright. We've pulled it out of the bag, and that's exactly what this deck aims to do. Game 2, and we're fortunate enough to start with Gormandized Snorlax once again, but we are also playing down another Mareep or Flaffy focused deck, so it's going to be an interesting one overall. We do have an energy. I kind of want to attack this pretty early on so that we have the energy down. Don't really want to quick ball it away, and same goes for the Evolution Incense here, though I think we could get rid of one of these Charizard. Hope that we have 4 in the deck, or at least available to us, as we do already have 2 in the hand, and we do indeed have that. So that means that we can at least get the Cinccino and then get the Cinccino down on the following turn. Very good, as we can then maximize the Gormandize effect right here. Drawing 4 cards is going to be excellent, and as we can see, we pick up a good selection here with the Charmander, and then that double Evolution Incense is going to serve as well. But we are getting hit with a Marnie. That is going to be the main problem that you come up against when playing this deck. Sure, you do have the Gormandize to try and combat it a little bit, but Marnie is really going to suck for you when you're trying to build up those big hands with Gormandize and Make Do. But my opponent did give us into a rare candy Charizard setup right here, so I'm definitely going to take that and make advantage of it. We do have the energy as well, so we're just looking for the scoop up net here so that we can make a good attack right off the bat turn 2. So we do have the level ball. I think we'll discard the Leon for sure, and my opponent is going to concede. They don't even want to deal with us. I mean, we didn't even have the scoop up net yet, which we did need in order to actually attack, but my opponent didn't even want to deal with it whatsoever, so we'll take that as a win. I guess my opponent is just that scared of Charizard. Playing into our third and final match here. Unfortunately, not getting a Gormandize start, but that's alright, as we do have a supporter to work with in the very least. And we do have the Cinccino going down nice and early here, which I do want to see. And we have our Charmander as well. But the main thing with this hand, we have turn 2 Charizard available, assuming of course that my opponent doesn't play a Marnie. And if they do that, that is going to pretty much ruin our plans here, but hopefully that doesn't happen. We'll have to see though. They're going to be discarding a boss's orders with the quick ball here, playing some sort of Inteleon deck, so likely have the quick shooting Inteleon in there. Just be a case of seeing what partner Pokemon they've decided to pair with the quick shooting Inteleon, and it looks like they do have the Suicune V, so very much focused on water Pokemon. It's going to make it very easy to knock out our Charizard despite having 170 hit points, but at the very least my opponent didn't get down an energy attachment or do a lot of anything really, didn't even play a supporter card, so puts us in a very good spot overall. We have an Air Balloon we can attach and also use our Professor for research. Get a nice fresh hand here and look for some energies that we can make use of. We do get our Cinccino, and we do actually have a pretty nice hand here overall, so let's go for the Battle Sense, looking for the energy, which we do find. Definitely going to take that straight away despite having some other good useful cards in there, but get that attached and also discard a Leon with Make Do in order to draw more cards, and we get into a good selection here. We can quick ball, discarding the Snorlax and looking for another Cinccino so we can get the second Cinccino down pretty quickly here, and without anything else to do we can go for a big old attack with a Royal Blaze, dealing 200 damage and putting us in an excellent spot with that turn 2 knockout with Charizard. So despite the fact that it is a stage 2 focused build of a deck, we are able to get set up very quickly, it would seem. My opponent does have the ability they can make use of here to draw a card when Suicune V is in the active, but since they didn't have that energy attachment on the first turn that they played the game, they are going to be behind here as they do get another attachment down, but it's going to be too little too late. They did find some more Pokemon that they can play down into play, but attaching that energy onto the active is really going to hurt my opponent here. We've got the Charmeleon that we can put into play, we've got a energy as well, and I think we're fine just to use the research here. Bit unfortunate that we're going to be losing Rare Candy, but I think it's going to work out just alright. We have a level ball so that we can find another Cinccino here, and we have both of those set up and ready to draw a bunch of cards. Definitely want to go for that. Discarding the level ball seems fine since we do have so many evolution incense available. And we do also find a Raihan, not the best here, as my opponent does have 210 HP, so really looking for the Leon if we can find it. Then we'll go for another make do first of all. Discard the quick ball, it seems fine. Come on, Leon. Not going to be finding it, unfortunately. And we can Battle Sense here. We do get a Charizard. I think we'll hold on to that. And yeah, really unfortunate that we didn't find the Leon, so we're not able to get a big one-hit knockout, which is very much unfortunate. Just pass, well not pass, but attack. I don't think I want to play any of these other cards. We'll just hold on to the hand for now. Pretty likely that my opponent plays a Marnie here, but hopefully they don't, as we do have a pretty stacked hand, and they are going to be starting their turn by drawing a card. Definitely makes a lot of sense. We'll have to see though if they get some sort of a switch to go into the other Suicune, or if they're just happy enough to get a big attack off with the current Suicune that they have here. They're going to be using the Rare Candy though, going into the Ludicolo, which is going to be able to use an ability. And then they go for the Professor's Research, of course, getting a new hand here, but overall, each of their hands, they haven't played a lot of cards out, they've just gone straight for a discard, so they must be having a pretty tough time of finding the cards that they need. Perhaps they don't play a lot of energies as well, as they aren't attaching a lot. But they go for a quick ball. There's an energy, but they do have a couple of energy in their hand that they can actually work with, and they are likely going to be getting the knockout here, but we'll have to see if they can build up enough damage. Of course, Suicune's damage is focused on the amount of benched Pokemon or Pokemon in play in general, which is going to increase it if you have more in play, but my opponent just didn't have it. He really had a bit of a bizarre deck, wasn't able to get set up, and we were able to take a victory there as well. But hey, all three games my opponent rage quit on us as we were able to get set up and they were not, so we'll certainly take that as a show of how good this deck is. It's so good that your opponents rage quit, so I'll certainly settle with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this build of Charizard. If not, then be sure to let me know any improvements that you would make to it. But if you do enjoy it, then I'm glad you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video.